content videos where you have an officer basically around the neck area.
These two retired Vegas cops, now podcast hosts.
They don't have ID, they can't get into a hotel room.
To get them the help they need, especially if someone even gets arrested. A lot of people don't know how the justice system works.
But I want someone to actually know them and know that it's...
Hey everybody, this is David Kohlmeyer, the Problem Solver. Welcome. Today's Thursday, 6:10 p.m. We are live today. Took a little sabbatical over the last week or two just with some events going on. Mm-hmm. And I totally need a haircut. This gray hair is killing me, even though someone's been asking me to keep this hair longer.
Yeah, what is it called? The gray fox thing? Is
I
that
do
what
not
it's
like
called?
it.
No? Okay.
No. My lovely co-host, Cambodian co-host from Henderson. Welcome.
Hello there, darlings. Hello.
Janti's in the house.
Welcome. Welcome.
I feel like it's been a while. So anyway, I'm glad you're here, John T, as usual.
Sure. Thank you.
She got nothing else better to do with her time, so she's here at the Problem Solver.
Nothing else better to do.
This is as good as it gets in Vegas these days. Today we actually have a special guest here today who I wanted to actually bring on for a while to get to know a little bit. Leo Blundo. Leo, thanks for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
Leo is a former Nye County commissioner. As many people may not know, but Nye County... Actually, you should probably explain that better than me.
Nye County is Pahrump.
It's Pahrump,
well,
but it also
part
includes...
of Pahrump, yes.
What other areas is Nye County?
Mesquite. No?
No, Mesquite's in Clark County, believe it or not. Right,
Oh.
Laughlin, Mesquite, those are in Clark.
Okay.
We have Beatty, Amargosa, Tonopah.
Yes.
We go all the way up. Gabbs, Nevada. We have a...
Yeah.
If you drive through Nye County, if you're going to Reno, so...
Got it.
Yeah.
But, Pahrump is the closest, over the hump into Pahrump. Pahrump is about, 30 minutes away from Vegas, right?
About 45.
45.
Yeah,
30
what's
to
the difference
45.
between going from Summerlin over to, say, Henderson? I mean, it's about the
Yeah.
same difference.
Good point.
Exactly. And I had some investments, or I have some investments.
You mentioned,
in
that's why I was
Pahrump.
mentioning that we would talk about it. How many miles is Nye County? If you drove from Pahrump, was it north? How far? I don't even know.
If you want to go for a drive, you can drive 8 hours and still be in Nye County.
Oh.
We are the third largest county in the continental United States. I mean, we're massive.
Is Reno Nye?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, Reno's...
So it's going up towards
right,
Reno. Okay.
Right. You just have to go through because the 95, you just do the little drive.
Yeah.
The truth is, most people really have no clue. Myself, I'm here 21 years, right? We know Vegas, we know Henderson, North Las Vegas. Even when I first came out here, I thought Henderson was like a master plan community, like it was saying Summerlin. And if you ask a lot of elementary school kids or junior high school, they say, "Where do you live?" They'll say Green Valley. Like they think Green Valley is like a city.
Right.
People are just really lost. And so when you say Pahrump, they say Nye County. People just don't know. I personally never knew how big Nye County. I'm just not really going there that much.
Yeah.
I know that you tend to go there a lot because of the brothels and you work out that way.
Yeah, the brothels. Exactly. I have to. So I go out there a lot because I have to. I have to support the kids and shit.
I didn't hear a denial.
So she's always like, "I'm coming back from Pahrump," and she knows the whole hum song. So she's really used to it. So.
Jeez, I have properties there. Come on. That's where I bury all my exes in Pahrump.
Exes in Pahrump? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of land out there. So, Leo, the reason why I wanted to bring you on, I know that we were just talking about before you came on the show, it's Thomas Chi that was a friend of ours.
Yes, Thomas.
And he's a good guy. I feel bad. I haven't spoken to him in a little bit. And he mentioned your name several times, like, "Hey, I need to meet with you." And I was going out to Pahrump once a week, working with a personal injury firm. I was going out to Pahrump Spine and Wellness out over there. I think it was Homestead Road or something like that, So I was going out weekly. And
I thought you said you never went to Pahrump. You're
Yeah.
such a liar.
I've been to Pahrump. What are you talking about?
Oh, my God. Please don't take what he says
Why would
at
I
face
lie?
value ever.
I never went to the brothels that you worked at. I mean, I just was visiting.
So full of shit. Yes, you were.
I've never
Yeah,
met you
you've
at
been
the
there. I
brothel.
saw you there.
You saw me there?
Yeah.
So
You know those fucking rooms. Don't lie.
So long story
Is that a
short,
confession?
she's always out there. So I would go there like on Wednesdays. I would go to the Pahrump Spine and
Unbelievable.
Wellness, meet with the doctors, chiro, stuff like that, in general. And I actually enjoyed the ride. It's a newer, they redid like the road, right? They at least for the last few years.
Significant investment. About $60 million got invested into that highway.
Yes.
So now it's 4 lanes all the way through. Very nice, beautiful drive. The only thing missing is upping the speed limits a little bit. That's just a personal opinion, but
What's the speed limit there now?
70.
70.
What do you think it should be?
Honestly,
95.
I think it should be 85. The only reason we got speed limits in the country, right? So you got to ask yourself, why do we have speed limits in a lot of the rural parts of the country? Was because you had the oil embargoes, you had no oil back in the 70s, the cars, they were trying to conserve oil, no gas. You remember all that? Maybe not, You got a lot of people doing the run-ins over at Target and Walmart over in California. Well, that was happening with gas stations. And, so they said, well, we need speed limits. That slows people down. It conserves the oil. Oil is gas. That's where it came from.
Well, people still go 85 on that highway anyways.
So friends of mine, highway patrol guys,
Right.
it's fish in a barrel, shooting fish in a barrel. They get people going over 100 all day, every day. It's not even, they don't try.
They're always in that middle median, when you're driving back.
It's safer there.
For the cop.
The cops.
Right, it's safer there.
Yeah.
I always see them over there too because it just seems like you could just go, But I do feel, and recently when I see some things on social media where they show like a car accident where a car basically impacting at like 65, 75, 85. I mean, 85 is pretty fast, and we just take it for granted. When I go back from California to Vegas, I try to hover around 75 to 80 on a cruise. But the truth is it's fast. But anyway, a lot of cops, when you're in that corridor going back, so they're writing a lot of tickets.
They do write it. Well, that's the problem I have with just the revenue side. You're writing a ticket because it's about money. It's not about enforcing the law or the spirit of the law. It's about money. That's not the right motivator in my mind.
So it's interesting you say that. So for being, you were a politician for 4 years?
Yeah.
4 years.
Okay, 4 years. We're going to get into that, but here's a good question. People used to say that all the time to me, like as a former police officer, say, oh, you guys are just doing it for the money. Personally, as a cop, in New York City, originally, we would have to write in my area, wherever precinct, we would write like 15 tickets a month and 1 arrest to basically, now some people would say, is it a quota? Technically, it's a quota, but some would say, they would say it's a performance goal objective, that you have to write 15 tickets and 1 arrest just to show you're a cop. Like if you're a mailman and you're not delivering the mail, like what are you doing? So the only difference, what it is, which a lot of people didn't know about being a police officer, at least in New York City, is that if you didn't write the 15 tickets and you didn't make the 1 arrest and you didn't do that with your partner, they would put you on a foot post. They would take you out of a patrol car and they would kind of give you more of like a physical discipline by taking you out of the patrol car, and you'd have to walk a foot post, especially if you were like a senior cop. And you were being disciplined, but of course they would never say why.
Is that why you're walking all the time with
I
your
was always
stories?
I was always walking the streets. No, we would always, me and my partner would write 15 tickets each, 2 arrests a month minimum.
Okay.
And then we would stay together. We were protected by, our performance objective goals being met. But if you wrote too many tickets, then the other cops would be pissed off because you're looking better. You're making us look bad. So when you want a Saturday off and I have to work and you got off, it's that guy was an MF because basically he wrote more tickets.
Right.
So he's getting different treatment, but of course it was never really spoken about.
There's a general consensus. It's 78 in your great, 79 in your mind. However, I think that kind of leans up to like 83. There's a little bit of leeway there.
But why do you think, being a politician in general, to me, cops write tickets to basically slow people down. And they would always say that a marked police car basically pulling someone over is going to change people's behavior. When they see a cop pulling someone over, you start slowing down because you think there's a cop ahead. Mm-hmm. Most cops could be unmarked patrol cars. So the people that say revenue, I mean, you worked for a government agency, right? Why do you feel it was a money situation? Do you ever hear the cops say, oh, we're doing it just for the money, or they're being pressured because of the money?
No, so I didn't work for the government.
I'm surprised you're saying that.
I didn't work for the government. We're gonna clear that line up. I worked for the people, right? I got elected into office. I did it the old school way, knocking on doors, saying hello, hey, how you doing? What's the issue? What's the problem? Let's solve it, right? Very much like this show, the problem solver, right? Hey, there's problems in our community. Let's solve them. Unfortunately, the speeding on the highway is not an issue we tackled. It's just an issue I'm just sharing with you here today. It's just very interesting, You're going to take it back and you're going to go, well, okay, cops have to write tickets. Like you said, it's a performance-based objective. You gotta accomplish that stuff. Okay, great, fine, fair enough. Well, then when they turn around, they're asking for more money from the county commission. You're like, well, okay, those tickets you wrote on Highway 160. This is where, as commissioners, we have to dig deep and figure out where that money is coming from and where that money is going from. It's coming from your pocket. Well, what was the infraction? We don't get to that level, but the infractions are basic speed, right? Because that's what's enforced on Highway 160. Not on the highway part where you're driving, but on the highway part in town, because that's where we're hearing the complaints from. Okay, where's that money going to? Oh, it's going to the state. It doesn't come to us. Well, okay, that's a problem. Our guys, our local police officers are writing these tickets, taking our time, our resources, the manpower. When you call 911, you say, hey, look, I got a problem. I got a fire at my house, or I got a burglar at my house. You expect to have the cops there, not writing a $200 baloney ticket, right? You expect them to be at your house trying to catch that burglar or do something that's important or takes a lot more precedence. So you just got to peel back the layers of the onion and really look at it and say, all right, you're doing this action. It has this repercussion here to the people that we work for, we serve, we listen to complaints from, and let's see where the money's coming from. And we got to make sure that that money's funding the right services, right? We want police, we want fire, we want ambulance, we want all those things. When you call 911, you expect those things as constituents. Are we doing it right? Are we applying it right? And if we're not, figure it out. That's okay. But it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to have an application of the law. Or we did make some adjustments, at least locally. Highway 160, that's going to take a movement from the state to change that because it's a speed limit. But in our local jurisdiction, we changed some speed limits because of that very thing. The limits were wrongfully identified as 35. They were wrongfully marked as 35, and it did not add up with what the state law said, which was 45. So we codified it as 45 because somebody got a ticket and they were wrongfully found guilty in court. So we got to fix that. That's part of the job. That's the job.
By being in Nye County, by being a commissioner general, what was the major things that you were involved in? Is it police, fire? What was the main things that you were involved in?
Oh, nothing that important. I mean, complaints and grievances. That's what we basically became, the complaints and grievances department.
Of basic things in the county.
Of anything. You know, it was really hot today. I don't know if you noticed, it was 110, maybe 117, whatever it was. I mean, I blame the commissioners. That's.
Is that it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, I'm sure they voted for something that made it 117.
So always complaints coming in.
Yeah. I'm really trying to aspire to be a comedian right now because it's not that funny. Yeah. Everything people just complain. Well, we're the lowest level, right, of government. Everybody has my phone number, so I get a phone call, and I just took complaints, you know. So you try to weed through what you can and what you can't, what you have jurisdiction and what you don't.
So what's the most authority that you had in regards to, like, changing laws, in regards to, like, finding the speed limit? What's the most you could do authoritative-wise?
Man, that's a really broad question. There's just a lot.
What's the biggest thing that you think that you
Probably
did over 4
depends
years?
on the situation or the problem, right?
Biggest thing, yes, it's very variable and it depends. I'd say the biggest thing we did, we took on the governor, right? We kicked it back in his 2 front teeth and we said, yeah, this is unconstitutional. We're not doing that, right? So the governor at the time, I mean, everybody remembers COVID. Ooh, big scary thing, right? He had a lot of mandates and he was forcing people to do things, okay? The mask mandate, for example. You have to wear a mask. And you had a lot of people who were using unconstitutional means. I thought this thing was unconstitutional, so we did homework, we did our backup, we did that stuff. But at some point, nobody was listening to the facts. Hey, this is unconstitutional, you can't do that, right? The mask protects you. Put it on, right? You put it on. It protects. I'm protected now, right? Yes. Okay, great. Well, then it doesn't matter if somebody else does or doesn't, right? Then you had the exemptions. Well, people had medical, you had asthma, you had this, you had so many exemptions, right? Well, it still wasn't good enough. You still have to wear it as well. It's like, yeah, okay, stop right there. Now we're the government and I'm forcing you to do this. No, we're done. We're not doing this, okay? So believed it was unconstitutional. So I sponsored an item, put it before the board, vote on it. We are the local. We're the local.
So what happened?
We voted 3-2. We said no more masks. We're not enforcing the occupancy limits. We're hurting businesses. They were doing a lot of things that were hurting people, hurting businesses, hurting families.
Is it really just a control factor that government controlling? I mean, people
That's
say that.
That's what I felt it was.
Yes.
Unconstitutional control, right?
Absolutely.
Just to do that to what? To kind of like pull on the local citizen? Like, why?
To see if they can control you. That's the main purpose of the whole COVID thing. That's my belief. Oh, we can get into this for days.
I felt like there was a lot of propaganda, a lot of scare, fear-mongering, and I didn't think that worked out really well.
Scare the younger people, like, to control them.
Scare everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a short story about COVID, okay? You're going to like this. So my father, he's from Old Country, Sicilia, okay? Ragusa. So my father's, he's old country, yeah. Right? He's Old Country, right? Sicilian, now thick blood. So my father's retired out in Pahrump. That's how we got out there. Been there 16 years now. So my father, he's got emphysema. This guy, he can't breathe. He's got the oxygen. Now, if you see pictures of him in the 70s, he's got the cigarette in the kitchen. Everybody was doing that, right? Everybody smoked. So my father can't breathe. He's got the oxygen. We're beginning COVID. First couple of weeks, and we're worried for him. The year before, he almost died. He had 33% chance to live, He had the pneumonia. It was not looking good. So we're very concerned, So we bring him food. He's over there at the house. We bring him food. We're trying to keep distance. We don't want him to get sick. So I call him. I said, Pa, he's got that thick Italian accent. I said, Pa, where are you right now? Man, I'm in Walmart. They said, what the fuck are you doing at Walmart? You can't be at Walmart. You catch this thing, you could die. I go where I want to go. If I die, I die. That's it. Isn't that the American dream? I don't know what else. Do what you want to do. It's your life. Mm-hmm. So my father very much, that was it. I was like, okay, crystal clear. I got it. That makes sense. That's what America's founded on.
Right.
That's one of the principles. The other one being property rules, property rights. I got my property. This is what I'm going to do with it. Mm-hmm. Same thing. Government can't tell you what to do. You got due process. You got rights. So run with it.
But they put COVID in. I mean, obviously they had to come up with something that's going to scare everyone, right? And the numbers and all these deaths and all these news media showing you exactly what they wanted you to see. So propaganda all the way. That's my thought, at least.
Yeah, right.
How did it work? I know that Knight County has a lot of the brothels where they wearing the mask. The
they weren't open. Come on, they weren't open.
Were they open or closed?
Yeah, no, they had a hole. They had a hole in the mask, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Were they open during that time?
No, they were shut down. They were shut down for a period of time, but
is that when you also collect the
unemployment? And when they reopened back up, there were just glory holes that were available.
She told me that during COVID time she was on unemployment. I just didn't know you can get unemployment from working at a brothel.
Right, because they're independent contractors.
I never actually got unemployment ever. I mean, I was unfortunately one of the unfortunate ones that didn't get unemployment. No.
Yeah. So they were closed down during COVID?
Right.
I mean, that's what I think about with Knight County, because everyone just talks that way. Like, people think that prostitution is legal in Las Vegas, which it's not, and basically with Pahrump and Knight County that it is. What's your take on that? You've been
there's
living.
only two brothels. You're talking like the whole.
Which brothels?
I don't know. I don't know what they're called. Pussycat. I don't. Whatever.
I'll plug them. Chicken Ranch and Sherry's Ranch.
Oh, there it is. See?
Chicken and Sherry's. Which one did you work at?
Both of them.
Chicken and waffles.
Yeah.
You said something. You said prostitution's illegal in Clark County. Really? Since when?
Most people don't know that.
I saw it down on Tropicana Street. I was just down there by Dean
You saw
Martin.
the sign? What did it say?
No sign. You see the girls. I thought that was a sign enough.
By the
by Dean Martin. Yeah.
Yeah. It's illegal, but people still do it.
Oh, okay.
You know what's funny?
Right?
That spot, it's like a trucker spot. I don't know. It's always like that. I remember when I was a cop, basically, even though I was in Henderson, Tropicana and Dean Martin, there's that, it's a trucker spot.
Oh.
There's always like prostitutes walking by and there's like a budget suites, but it's been like that for years.
Really?
I mean, just very like, you can just see it on the street, but it's been a while.
So they just go into the budget suites for like
budget
hourly
suites,
or something?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, daily. Yeah, they have a daily rate.
Oh, daily.
Well, I mean, you got to work. It's like a business.
Yeah, but you mean they take them back to? Oh, okay, I get it now.
They just like walk back and forth, but it's only for years. I think that's.
How do you know? Anyways,
it's like very. I guess it's kind of known. I mean, if you know about it, most guys driving by.
Yeah. Well, how often
you just see some weird girl walking around with lingerie?
How often do you drive by Tropicana and Dean Martin though?
All the time.
Actually know,
it's a very popular area.
I've only been there like twice.
As the problem solver, I go out there quite a bit.
I bet you do. Yeah, I bet you're solving some problems.
So here's a question for you. So you've been living out in Pahrump for a long time.
Yeah. Just a few days.
16
How old were you?
16.
How old were you when you moved to Pahrump?
23.
So being 23, knowing that there's legal prostitution, does that change people in general? Do people care about it? Do people, you know what I'm saying? Like, how is it in? It's not spoken about.
They don't care
in general.
about it.
I guess me being from New York, it's illegal. Knowing that this one area is legal for prostitution, it's weird, right? Because it's always been illegal to.
I doubt the locals are actually going.
Locals
to the
don't even
brothels.
care. Like, it's just part of it.
Yeah.
No one talks about it.
There's a couple of books, right? The Brothel Wars. Forget about it. So the brothels now are just like a syntax. They're there, and you could see how politics has really shaped the landscape of brothels. But the books give you this detailed history, old family feuds, and a lot of maneuvering. And you know what? That's what. Whenever I had somebody, I fought for people. Anybody who came before the board, I fought for the little guy. Okay, I fought for the applicant. Now, if the applicant was wrong, I would give them the courtesy. Say, hey, listen, look, Dave, I know you want to do this, whatever project it is you're working on. I can't support it. What you got here, I can't do. These are a couple of things that you need to change, and then we can have a conversation about support. So I was always very upfront with anybody coming before the board, and I just don't see that. I see too much politics, too much posturing. Everybody wants to smile, and as long as you're getting your campaign check, everything is great, but I can't really help you, but we're going to get you across the finish line. You get a lot of, how do I say this, bullshit. And it's not good. And if you cut some of that out of politics, wow, could we get back to a place where people were just straight up saying, hey, listen, I can support this or no, I can't, right? You're supposed to be, by law, open-minded up until the vote. And then you pull the trigger. You go one way or the other. It is what it is. But I always made it a point. I went to bat for anybody that came before the board, whether I liked you, I didn't like you, whether you gave me, supported my campaign, you gave, whatever, it didn't matter. It did not matter. I supported everybody to the best of my ability. And you just don't see that. So there's two ways to be a politician. Either you're going to be in office to run to be reelected, or you're going to do the right job and do the right thing by the people. And that's what I like to do the right job for the people. And that's why I'm sitting with you guys here today.
Yay.
So you did 4 years.
4 years.
What I remember, I don't know the whole story. I don't know what you can kind of explain. It seemed like, I guess maybe through Thomas, or maybe I quickly looked, maybe I Googled you at one time when I wanted to get to know you and stuff like that. But it seemed like you were having issues out there. It seemed like they were really trying to go after you. And over the years, me being in Vegas, I've always seen the Clark County commissioners, and some of them got arrested. They were involved in some of the strip clubs and the money. I always wanted to be involved in more politics.
Was he part of that?
Which part?
Was he part of that? What you just mentioned?
The strip clubs in Vegas?
Whatever. No,
that's different. Well,
whatever he just talked about.
No, we're asking. I'm asking. He's about the.
Oh, you're
He's
asking.
framing. He's
framing.
He's building the house right now.
She gets very
got it,
excited.
got it,
She's like
got
a kid,
it.
She,
Okay,
very
go ahead.
Oh, well, I remember that.
what's open
She's
the box.
talking about Michael Gallardi and,
Yeah, those were back then.
Oh,
When I
yeah,
first
I
came out
remember
here.
all that.
Continue.
Yeah, so there was a lot of things that were going on. I always wanted to get involved in politics. I was always, at the end, afraid because I felt like everyone's going to go to jail, everyone's getting arrested, or someone's selling a piece of land, or, hey, buy this piece of land there because we're going to have an intersection and you can put a gas station there. It just seemed very corrupt. And I always felt that I didn't want to go to jail. I was a cop, for basically 17 years, and I was always trying to do good work, and I just didn't want to have problems. And I could see when you're around certain people, someone gives you an envelope or says, hey, I'll get you, once you're out of office, right, I'll put you in that spot. You see this person, basically taking on a nonprofit role as the president after they leave a position. It just seems really, really corrupt. And I just was kind of afraid of that. So I never really I never really followed that way. I just was nervous. So I'm just curious. I don't know what happened to you over the 4 years. I'm sure you were doing good work, but it seems like people were after you. But it seems like that's a lot with all politicians. People just get jealous, or they get upset with you, or they don't like you, Republican, Democrat, Trump, all this stuff going on. So tell me what your feedback is over 4 years. How was it for you, I guess?
My 4 years, it was a war. And it was just battle after battle, and that's why you got to do one day, one step, one punch at a time. I would say to you, you express interest. Hey, I want to run. I would have ran, but I had these circumstances. I would say, when you're dying on your deathbed, you're not thinking of, oh man, I accomplished so many great things. You've had those thoughts. It's, man, I wish I could have. So I would say to anybody, right, run. If you win, great. Do a good job. Stand by your principles. Stand by the promises you made to people. That's number one, because that's integrity. And number two, more importantly, if you lose, you got a learning experience, and your eyes will be open to what a lot of the things that are happening, and you'll be like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense, and you'll develop relationships. It's really amazing. To take it a step further, to answer the third part of that question, ask yourself this one thing. Let's talk about Congress. That's an easy one, right? Nobody loves people in Congress, right? So in Congress, congressmen and women come and go. Who's still there after they leave, after the elected official leaves? Answer to that question is the staff. So I like to call it the staff infection. The staff, when they got a bone to pick with you, when you're not doing what they want, boy, do they find every complaint, every reason, every paperclip to throw at you. And that's the problem. That's who comes after you. And it doesn't matter what's true or not. You know what matters is what gets written in the newspaper, because they just smear and just keep throwing the spaghetti at the wall, and whatever sticks. That's what happens. That's how it works. That's the unfortunate reality of politics.
Was it hard for you when you were running, or did you feel that once you were there?
No, running. I was told when I was running, I was a wild card. They didn't know where I was going to land. I could have went here, there, but I stayed very true to my people and the principles that I have. And I'm a small businessman, right? But I'm a business guy, and I was a very much for the people guy. I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to give you the grace. I wanted to give you the shot. And I'll give you 2 shots before I was ready to pull the rug on you.
Right.
I'd go to bat for you. Even if I didn't like you, I'd still go to bat for you because it's the right thing to do. That was the most important thing. That was more important than just trying to say, well, the staff said, a staff report said no. We don't just shut the door on people. You got to go to bat for people. That was what it was all about.
So when you were running, it wasn't a big deal. When did you start feeling people kind of like coming after you?
Oh, it took
Pressure.
what? Oh, man, like
Week?
well, I'd say within the first 3 months, it was like this.
And what triggered it? Just
They just start filing complaints, just complaints.
This is your own people,
Uh-huh.
the staff,
The
not
people that work for you.
Yeah, wow.
The people that work for you, and I'll just share this with you. In their collective bargaining agreements, there's a specific clause that says you can't talk bad about the elected and the management and stuff like that. There's a specific clause in there. But boy, do they know how to file complaints, and then they'll file complaints in other departments. It's just becomes that's what their focus is. So now they file a complaint, right? Now you can't take retribution on them. It's like, well, I never was going to do anything before. I'm not going to do anything after. I can't. That's not my role. My role is to set the policy. And if you don't like the policy, have a nice day, right? Go work somewhere else. The only job I know where they're getting raises every year, they get the paid vacation, the air conditioning,
Yeah.
they get the county cars, they get all the perks, right? Used to be public service. You used to get a public job, public sector job. It was lower pay, but you had a job for life. You do a good job, you had a job for life. Okay. Now they make more money than you do in the private sector. Okay. Hand over fist. You get the perks, you get the benefits, you get everything, all of it, and they always want more, and it just
Wow.
right.
So does someone like you go into that office and, start messing up what they have or something? Why are they filing these complaints though?
Well, because they
they're
feel
supposed
like
to be
that.
working with you, right? Aren't they
Supposed
supposed to
to.
be? Okay.
Right. Supposed to.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
Or maybe they don't like you for a certain reason. Maybe you said something or something like that, and then they can just file a complaint.
Well, I think I think a lot of politics, right? Politics is very personal, and it can get frustrating. But
Yeah.
when that's impeding their job, there's a lack of respect for where this is my position. My position says I do these things. Your position is you're a department head, you're management.
Yeah.
You take orders through the county manager, and you do them, right? I give an order, it goes to him. You execute, and when you fail to execute
Yeah.
to make your electeds look bad, that's a problem.
So
But
for
there's the breakdown, right?
So for the 4 years that you're in office, you become their boss, essentially?
We set policy.
Okay.
So you have, right, so there's a hierarchy, and I can't just go to like a department head and say, hey, go do this. Doesn't work that way. That's a complaint. That's an ethics complaint.
Okay.
My predecessor, Butch Boraski, boom, you can ask him. He got nailed with one. Not because what he was asking was wrong. It was because he can't go there, and then the way it was framed was like, well, he's telling me what to do, and it's going to benefit somebody. And that's how quick it twists.
they always
That's
think
how
that you're
quick.
trying to benefit other people because
Well, yeah, sure.
you're on the take or you know the
Right.
person. You're leveraging relationships.
So imagine you're
to
the
do that.
department. I'm going to come to you and say, hey, listen, Director Dave, this pothole here, you haven't done it yet. What's the problem? Right? I've gotten 2 complaints about this pothole. Well, it's going to benefit somebody, the people who complained. But it's also going to benefit everybody else too, right? Because it's a damn pothole. But why haven't you filled it? You fill out a complaint, send it over to like ethics or some other organization to investigate, and it costs money. Let me tell you something. All these investigations, you got $20 in your pocket because it costs you money, taxpayer dollars, all of these things, right? So it insulates you. Now you're protected, and the pothole's still not filled. So now I look like an asshole because the constituents are like, hey, Leah, what happened? It just breaks down the whole process. Instead of saying, hey, you know what? I dropped the ball. I overslept. I was drunk. I don't care. Whatever your problem was, hey, Commissioner, I'm on the ball. It'll get done. Instead of doing the right thing, just owning it and getting it done, what do? They protect themselves, and it's called CYA, cover your ass. That's how it works.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
So over the 4 years, what was the worst? I remember the last, I guess, when you were on your way out, you basically, you were, what do you call it? Basically, you just served your term, right?
Yeah, I served
But
my
they were
full term,
trying
yes.
to get you out.
Oh, they tried. Absolutely.
Several times,
100%.
right?
Oh, absolutely. They were using personal relationships. Unfortunately, county management and we had a captain, they all go to the same church. The sheriff goes to the same church, and they moved on something they shouldn't have done. And unfortunately, it was to hurt me, publicly to hurt me, but that's okay.
How do you feel that you dealt with that? Like, it's not easy. Like, some people, even cops, basically, like almost like PTSD or suicide. Like, there's several cops I know that basically kill themselves, because they're basically stressed. How do you deal with that as a politician for knowing that people are trying to come after you and trying to go after your name? And I make you look bad and stuff like that? Like, it's tough,
You wake up every morning, you have your cup of coffee, and you just got to believe you're doing the right thing for the right reasons for the right people. That's it. And you just got to hold to your principles.
Could you have run?
It's a lot easier said than done. Let me tell you that right now. 100%.
I bet.
You got your hair still there, so I mean, it can't be maybe it's not as stressful as it could be. Could you have run again?
I did run. I ran for re-election.
Okay, I didn't know.
And unfortunately, I didn't prevail. So that's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that later. I mean, there's a lot there, but unfortunately, it was just a negative ad campaign run by the newspaper.
Man,
you just can't. You just
Who
sometimes
owns the papers out there?
We used to be what is it?
The Review Journal still?
Right, but the Journal doesn't run anything. It's the Sun now.
Oh, the Sun. Okay, yeah.
In Pahrump.
Well, through their hierarchy.
Through there, it's
right.
the whole double.
I admire anyone that wants to get into that political arena. I mean, that's just a lot of, responsibility and liability and all sorts of stuff. And I think people get in there hoping to make a difference or wanting to make a difference, but then it goes a different direction a lot of times too.
But even with pay, I mean, what's pay for a Nye County commissioner, and how many commissioners are there?
When I got in, it was $24,000 a year.
Oh my God, really? Oh goodness.
Yeah, respectfully, it costs me money to be in office.
Wow.
Right, and that's okay. I mean, we knew that. So that was another thing the board, everybody took heat on. We're like, hey, you want full time, because we were very much regarded. So in the state, right? We'll just talk about the state. In the state, you have full time commissioners. You look at and you say, well, they're full time. Clark County and like Washoe County, big counties, so they get paid respectable, right? You can actually have a family on their income. I think they make like 100,000 here, 90 or 100,000 here. I think it's like 60, 70,000 up in Washoe. Don't quote me. It's somewhere in that ballpark, right? And every year it can go up. So throughout the rest of the state, they treat us as part-time commissioners because the pay is so low. So he said, well, that's an issue. That should be addressed. I work full-time. I was on the phone 24/7, right? My phone rang, no matter what. I got a problem, I answer, right? My wife will tell you some stories that she wanted to smack me upside the head. But I would answer the phone. That's what I did. I gave people the respect, the courtesy. We answered the phone. You got a problem, call me. We'll get it done to the best of our abilities. But that sentiment, you're part-time.
Yeah.
Nobody was part-time. But unfortunately, when you want to talk about the pay, nobody wanted to really talk about it. We actually sponsored a bill this last cycle for the legislature. So our BDR was to raise the pay. And it would have been for everybody. It would have affected all the rural county commissioners, and we would have that conversation. I don't know what my colleagues were doing, but they didn't even go testify on the bill.
They not care about the money situation, or how much would have raised it?
We would have went from, I think we're at 30 now, right? It would have went to like 54.
Oh,
okay.
So they never went to testify like, hey, how it's needed.
It was like,
they didn't care.
Flaccid, like nothing. Nobody cared. So the cycle before that, I sponsored a bill, right, through the counties each get a BDR, okay, bill draft request. Clark County gets a handful of them, but they also have a lot more legislators here, right? We get one because of the size of our county. We get one, right? One. So we made one, and we said, okay, well, this what can we do to really make a difference in the state? Commerce tax, you remember that?
Yes.
That albatross said, okay, our BDR is going to be to repeal the commerce tax. We're going to take this. What can we do that's not just going to benefit us, but it'll benefit the whole state? Yeah, never got a hearing, never got nothing, never got heard, just died quietly. It's unfortunate. That's how it works.
Right.
Good things, good bills, they don't want to hear. You want to talk about giving money into some black hole abyss that's not going to get anything done? Yeah, well,
that's where it
put
goes.
all the money over there, right?
That's where it goes.
Yeah.
So you seem like it's just very difficult to win the war and basically making change.
Yeah, but yeah.
And then if you don't
it's
join
apathy,
them,
though. It's apathy. It's your moms and dads at home. They're working 9 to 5. They elected you. You go do the job for them, but they're apathetic, and I don't think they know all these things are going on. And there's a lot of mistrust in not just in government, but in the media. It's just look at this day and age.
Corruption is prevalent.
So jumping back to the police situation, I was just curious. You probably know a lot of the police. How many police officers are in Nye County? About
to my recollection, I think we had a couple of hundred sworn peace officers, like somewhere in the ballpark, like 200.
Basically, the whole county.
Yeah, something like that. I know they have a lot of open positions, so I'll plug Sheriff Joe McGill right now. Nye County is recruiting. They need They'll take laterals. They'll take people coming in. So we need people.
It seems like all over basically that nobody really wants that job anymore. Especially just today, it's kind of a thankless job. Even though the pay, at least I think, at least Henderson, Vegas, locally here, it's stronger than most cities and states. I'm not sure with Nye County, but how do you feel that the police are in Nye County compared to any other police that's out there that you know? I mean, you've been there for a long time. What's your take? Do people feel that they're corrupt? People think that they're good? What's the community take on the Nye County police?
We got a lot of good deputies. I'm gonna just say that we have a lot of good deputies. Okay, it doesn't take more than one or two bad apples to kind of ruin the barrel. You know how that works.
Absolutely.
So then they all kind of get that stigma, and it's tough to break. I think the sheriff is working on that right now, but time will tell. Time will tell. I've seen some new faces, which is good. And they've been reasonable, and they show up, and you see them when they're pulling up with people. That's a good thing. Got to be calm.
What's your take specifically in Pahrump? I'm not really sure in regards to crime. Like a lot of bail reform is taking place where basically you don't need bail anymore. Like, DUI, get arrested for DUI. Normally it would be, what is it? I don't know, $10,000, $20,000. And, to bail someone out could be like $550 if you got some assets, credit, stuff like that. What's your take with people being released, without bail? The whole bail reform, I'm sure you're familiar with the whole. Basically, it's kind of like a movement nationwide where people are saying, I'm not big into politics or everything, but I guess more Democrats would say, hey, the lower socioeconomic group that gets arrested, they can't afford to get out of jail, so it basically affects their future. They can't make payments, their mortgages, their cars, things get towed. So that basically we should allow these people to be released. Now, crime's on the increase, I think, all over nationwide. So how do you feel for Pahrump, which is your hometown? What's your thoughts on the whole bail reform and crime?
I think we're letting too many people out, right? So if you do something that's very bad, either you can make bail or you can't, right? That's why it's there. I also believe that we do have a real bad habit of punishing people of lesser means. I've seen that with public defenders and stuff like that. So you just get the crumbs. Maybe not even the crumbs. You get in very little, and I feel like a lot of people's constitutional rights get. I don't want to say violated because it's not an active violation. It's more they get disregarded and they treat people like they're less than, and that's not good. You get I'll give you a good example. We got a lot of homeless out there. Okay, we have a situation right now, homeless problem. And it's very easy, they're vagabond, they're vagrant, they're this, they're that, and it's like us versus them kind of situation. Yeah, but they're people too, right? Those people, you need to either figure it out so they get an infraction, they get arrested for trespassing, whatever it is, and then you get in there, and if there's a bail and you want to use this process, right, because it's the pretrial risk assessment, and they got to walk you through this whole process and say, well, we're just going to let you out on OR. I think they stop short. You need to get OR to a facility, right? A facility that's going to help you. We need to change your attitude, change your altitude, change your mindset. Those people are stuck in that situation. I want to ask you a real short question. Have you ever tried to get a Nevada ID?
Different from the driver's license?
No, your driver's license,
Yeah,
Nevada
yeah,
ID.
yeah.
I mean, have you seen the requirements to get a Nevada ID?
I think it's difficult, right? You have to show.
Was it?
Oh.
It didn't seem like it was.
Well, yeah, it's a pain in the what. Of course.
She's not legal here. She doesn't.
She's not legal. Oh, well,
I have my driver's license.
You have an ID?
Jesus Christ. I even have a citizenship. What are you talking about? So, it didn't seem that difficult, but maybe things have changed.
So I just say that, you look at this guy, the homeless guy, well, now he's in jail, and now they're just going to put him right back out. That's not good. You need another step.
Need to help them.
You need to help them. Right. So are we going to just continue to talk about the problem, or do we say, hey, look, we need a solution. We need to take these next steps.
People, it doesn't seem like they understand that concept of helping them before they just release them.
Right. Well, the legislature did what they did. So
they changed something, right?
Well, that's what it's called. It's a pretrial risk assessment. So if you rank very low on there and you're not, according to the paperwork, you're not a risk, you're out. Have a nice day. It's not good.
Where's the homeless problem right now in Pahrump?
I'd say it's primarily like in the 160, 372 corridor. It's like right in the center of town. Mm-hmm. Look, we got one homeless guy. He's kind of a big guy. I mean, he's the Pahrump homeless guy. He's been there for years.
Is it next to like the casino?
Yeah, I think you've seen him, right? He's got a big beard. Yeah, but he's that one guy.
Oh, that's all. That's good.
No, that's not the only one. That's just the one notable one. And if it was just him, it's like, okay,
Isn't there
right.
like a trailer area
I
there?
didn't see.
We
next to
just
the
have a
casino?
real issue
Like
right
Wild West
now.
thing or something?
Well, no, that's an RV park.
RV park.
Yeah, that's not homeless. They pay.
Okay.
They pay pretty good, actually. Got some really nice rigs in there.
Okay.
But you have the vagabonds that kind of just are hanging out behind buildings. And what happens is you get increased theft, increased burglary, increased defecation, and just negative situation. So those people, we got to show up and say, hey, listen, okay, they're people too, right? Well, love thy neighbor.
Yeah.
And say, okay, well, we're going to help people and have a plan in place and say, well, you know what? We need mental health services. A lot of these people are crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I seen one guy, he's like this all on the highway. He was like walking in the middle of the street. Just,
Yeah.
You seen that movie, World War Z? You remember that with Brad Pitt?
I think so.
The zombies, right? They're like this.
Oh, okay.
All zoinked out. This guy's in
Yeah.
the middle of the street running around. I'm like, he's just going to get hit. I think he wanted to get hit
Probably.
because he's out of his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely mental health issue.
problem. Right. Do we have those services in Prump? No, we don't. Right? So the answer isn't, well, build a shelter, a homeless shelter. You build it, they'll all come. Forget about it.
No, they won't.
Huh?
I know in Henderson they didn't want to build a shelter because they felt they would come.
They would.
You'll increase.
The problem out in Pahrump is
money.
it's a black hole. Once you get out there, what are you going to do?
you
Where do
gonna
they go? There's no bus service. What are you going to do? You're stuck. You're stranded. It's a black hole. Once you're there, you're done. You're finished. That's it. Why do you think the problem we have? So you got to say, okay, we don't have these services. We're going to help you. If they're in the system, release them to our care. We're going to get you out to a facility that's going to get you that kind of services. And now we're providing a service not just to the community, but to the person, right? We're treating them like humans. Come on. When do we lose our humanity over
Right,
here?
right.
You know?
I'll share
But they
something-
choose not to. Many choose not to go to those places that
It's
offer
easy to
them
look
help.
down on people.
Yeah.
You know?
I'll share an unusual story that you will never have heard before. But when I was in Henderson, I first got here.
You're homeless.
I picked up a mentally unstable person, and I was like, "What do we do with the person?" There was like no place where to take him, whatever. But since I was in the city of Henderson, they said, "Well, let's just bring him to the outer limits, to drop him off in Vegas." So I drove the guy. I'm brand new, following the other cop. Not like he's doing anything wrong. So we drove to Eastern and Sunset. And at Sunset Park, basically, we released the guy and said, "Hey, have a good day."
Oh, my God.
Because basically, we couldn't arrest the guy. There was no crime. We had no place to take him. There was no shelter passes or motels. These voucher programs.
Right.
Yeah.
And we would just drop them off at different places. And then one day, I was up in like Anthem, and some kind of mentally unstable guy, and I say, "How'd you get here?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, North Las Vegas cop brought me here." So I'm thinking all day long, you got each cop agency driving, shuttling around the mental health people, and they're all dropping them off
Out of their areas.
Out of their area, So the North Las Vegas cop is bringing them to Anthem. The Henderson cop is bringing them to Metro.
Wow.
The Metro cop is deciding, hey, do I go bring this one to North Las Vegas or do I bring him to Henderson? So all day long, they're driving the mentally, instead of fixing the problem.
Right.
But I was just following, the leader in the beginning. I didn't know what was going on. And then eventually
Right.
later on, I was doing community policing. There was a voucher program. I was working with HopeLink. I was probably the only cop bringing people to a motel, voucher program, getting them in. But there was a lot of difficulties with that, and a lot of cops didn't want to go hands on. They got staph infection, diseases. People were out there. So I tried to do as much as possible, but it's even worse now than it was before. And it's a sad situation. But I think it's just this movement. Like everyone's okay with being free, which I'm glad they're being free, but it's just not helping society. I think there needs to be more mental health out there in general, helping people or providing services in general. And then you have this bail situation. Everyone's being released, so there's more crime. I think we're at 114 fatalities. There's more DUI. There's more accidents, being taking place. I think, with this new sheriff in town, at least for Vegas, I think it's a very difficult job. And then after COVID, I just think a lot of people mental health. And then actually today, it was interesting. Today I was on Charleston and 10th Street, and I saw there was a light that was out, like a red light, but the light turned green. But I was going through, I was almost getting into an accident. So I was the only number you call is 311. It would take me an hour on the phone just to get through, just say, hey, look, 10th and Charleston, the light's out. So eventually and actually if you try calling 311, these days it says press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 5. I press so many buttons. I think I just on the same loop. But you just hang up the phone. They do it on purpose. I could just tell. There's so many press this, press that. At the end you get so fed up. You don't even know. You just think you're in the loop and you're like, forget it, let me just hang up.
It's not helpful at all, yeah.
Yeah, so just to say, and then you call 911, they'll say, why are you calling 911? You have to call 311,
Right.
So the only thing that's good out here, and I think even in Pahrump they have it, is the 211, which is United Way, which is basically referral service. Are you familiar with 211?
No, please tell me.
You can call 211 and say, I need a place. We'll try it in Pahrump. Let's see what happens. You can call the number and basically say, look, I need some help. I'm in Pahrump and basically I need a place to stay. Is there a homeless shelter?
Oh,
And then they'll tell you where to go.
211.
There's been around for a while.
Calling Nevada 211. Para español, oprima dos. Please note your call may be monitored or recorded. If you know your party's extension, please dial it now. All other callers, press 1.
Let's see if they say Pahrump if I'm homeless. Where should I go? What do you think they would
Please
say?
remain on the line, and one
don't
of
have
our
a
call
shelter.
specialists will be with you as
So,
soon
sorry,
as
good luck.
possible.
You're on
And you're
your own.
calling,
Our
yeah.
calls
Stay
are
on the
answered
line
in
and
the
see how
order they
long
are
it takes.
received.
211's actually very quicker than anything else.
Super.
But most people don't know about it. You didn't know about it.
I didn't
No, I didn't know either. Super fan Steve says, "Tell him to solve something already instead of talking bullshit."
We are.
Super
I'm
fan.
teaching the Nye County Sheriff.
We are super
talking about
fans,
the-
Steve. We have super fans that watch the show all the time,
Okay.
and they would
That's all they do.
send
What
messages.
was the question?
Oh, there's no question.
He's saying we're not.
It's just it's telling
Commentary. He's saying that we're
His
not solving the problem.
commentary.
I'm teaching the Nye County Commissioner
211
about
super fan
211.
Steve,
See?
honey. I didn't know about
We're
it
testing
either,
it
so
out.
that's great. 311 takes 1 to 3 hours, but he's talking about another number, 211, not
You know, it's funny, when
311.
211 came out, you couldn't call on a cell phone. So I told this Henderson cop once, like, hey, call 211. So the guy's cursing me out, like, I called this fucking number. What number you giving me? You guys don't know what you're doing over there. And I found out you can't call from a cell phone in the beginning. It had to be a landline.
What?
This is probably...
So
You
as
know
soon
what?
as you called that, I was like, well, you're calling from Vegas, so it probably isn't going to connect to your phone. But
What?
then it said
State.
state. Right. It was a state agency.
I
I was like,
thought-
okay, never mind.
And I thought 211 was like a Verizon.
Press 1 at
You
any
know.
time,
No.
and
Thinking
you
maybe
will be
611 for
prompted.
Oh,
AT&T.
611.
Right.
That's it. Oh, too many
Right.
Our
11s.
next available
It's
call
confusing.
specialist
Right.
will call you
Let's
back.
see
If you call
curious.
AT&T, you are on the phone
We're
for 3
trying
hours.
211 right now just to see how long it actually
This is
takes.
actually taking a little longer. So right now, if I was homeless, where would I go in Pahrump? The correctional
Back
facility?
alleys,
Yeah,
That's
you're
a
just
tough
going
one.
to sleep wherever.
wherever.
You're going to just sleep in the dirt.
Is anyone doing anything
Is there
out
a lot of? I mean, what do you think the
They should go
homeless
to the-
population is?
They should go to the brothels.
Yeah, they're going to get trespassed real quick. Plus, that's a hefty walk. They're not going to make it there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a couple of miles. It's not just right in the center of town. Brothels are at the edge
Exactly.
of town. If
What
I
do
had
you
to
think,
guess,
roughly?
I'd say there's probably a couple of hundred.
Couple hundred. Okay.
Right, and when you lump that number in, it's just the traditional homeless person's like you think of the guy walking on the street
Yeah.
and then he sleeps in the dirt or wherever he's sleeping. But you have a lot of people with just a rickety trailer on
Yeah.
private property, which is a problem, right? Because it's private property.
Squatting.
Squatting on the property, not in the trailer, because it's like their trailer,
Yeah.
and that's a problem too. And that was the big push they had a couple of years ago. They were getting rid of people off of private property, and that kind of unsettled them. But that just created more problems. So all you did was you moved the problem from one place to another. Look, if it was my property and I wanted them off, hey, great, got to do it. But still, it's not addressing the issue.
I think honestly, the homeless problem will never be resolved. I don't think so. I don't think there's going to ever be a real resolution.
It's just getting worse.
You know.
Well, I'm going to share. I'm going to share
Yeah.
a quote with you real quick, and this
worse.
is very important. Okay, Jordan Peterson says this: "Life is suffering." It's not a question; that's a statement. Life is suffering. Work to resolve it. Work to reduce it. Right.
Yeah.
And I look at the homeless folks and I say, well, their life is suffering, right? No doubt. And I don't think they know how to work to reduce it.
Yes.
So if you're going to help, you need to give them the tools to be able to do that and teach them how to do that, right? Not push, and you're not better. You need to be an equal and say, hey, we're here to help.
I agree with that. There are some programs here I know that they're going into the tunnels.
Right, right.
Shine the Light Foundation does that out here and stuff
Right.
like that.
I've seen a documentary on YouTube with them. They do a
They
really
do a good job. They just
right?
go out there,
Yeah.
keep mentioning in general. But like I said, I don't know. It just seems like it's worse, especially like California, right? Like the beaches, but
And that California is shipping them over here at night.
It seems to be a real political stance or
Yes.
across the country. They're just shipping people all over the
Yeah,
place.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that it's taking this long. That's what I'm saying. These days, I feel like there's no one out there.
Like, what I tell you? How are you going to go get an ID?
This number's been pretty good. Catholic Charities out here, it helps get people IDs.
Catholic Charity's been here forever, and they've always done a great job. Salvation Army, Catholic
Social Security
Charities,
cards, stuff like that.
everybody. You got groups that do a great job, but when the numbers are just so much bigger than their capabilities, you can't help
Absolutely.
everybody in the same day. You know.
Well, how about those companies also that do it just to get the funds for it? Instead, it goes into their pocket, right? There's a lot of that.
I would agree. That's where it needs to come back to the local county commissions, right? Because so like in Nye County, we gave a bunch of money to nonprofits through the ARPA funds, and there needs to be accountability. But
you're just one man. Yeah, you're just
that's
one
a
man.
challenge.
You can't really do everything.
On the board, that's the challenge. Let me share that with you, okay? And this will be a learning experience. You got to remember one thing, right? So let's take the three of us here, and there's something before us, and we got to vote. Well, my job is to convince one of you, and your job is to convince one of us. And if we don't agree, at some point it's going to break, right? And it's going to be 2 versus 1, or nobody's going to want to do anything, or you're not going to vote. It's going to be a real interesting dynamic. But my job is to try to get another vote, right? And you need a majority of the board to move stuff forward. So, I mean, tomorrow the board could sponsor, if I were on the board could sponsor to give a group $1 million. Yeah. But if you don't have the votes, it ain't happening. So it's the same dynamic here in Vegas too. And unfortunately, I think that's the uglier side because it's all about relationships. You remember that old saying here in Vegas? It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Oh, absolutely.
That's ingrained in people. That's not going anywhere, right? You know a county commissioner, they're willing to back you and sponsor you, but then you get the other side, Yeah. So you remember you made a comment earlier. You were like, oh, the strip clubs and all that stuff. I remember stories about certain people in office here in Vegas. And if you went to go have a meeting, you'd be like, everything was wonderful, great, love your project, but if you didn't have the envelope, nothing was happening.
Yeah.
So don't tell me it doesn't happen.
Absolutely. It continues.
Right? But Vegas is an albatross, a lot bigger than what we do out there. People come out there, they're like, we have to deal with you? We have to go through you? What is this?
It's been done like that for so long. And I'm not just talking about here in Vegas. I'm speaking about the history of man.
We're not talking about campaign contributions here, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about an envelope full of cash.
Yeah.
Right? And I will say this for the record, that cash at that day and age probably went a lot further than what $100 goes here today. So, and that's unfortunate, but, the way Vegas works, I guess.
No, it's the way the world works. It's been working like this since the beginning of time. If we think about it, so sad.
Jumping forward, real estate. So you've been out there for a long time. She's been out there for a bit, and I've been out there a little bit. What's your take on real estate in regards to Vegas and Pahrump and the future? I mean, I'm here 21 years. I guess if I would have bought something 21 years ago and land, and then I also heard about the water rights that it's like somewhat corrupt with some families having the water rights and stuff like that.
That's a loaded question. We actually spoke about real estate earlier, which was a good discussion.
It was spicy.
Was I sleeping?
You weren't here, yeah.
You can't start the podcast prior to the podcast.
That's what I said. I
it's
said
one of the Sticky Paws rules.
I know. I was like, maybe we shouldn't speak about this, but we already were deep in the conversation.
So tell me about real estate.
Yeah.
So I think we have a very spicy market, right? And it's aggressive. I also think that we have a lot of realtors out there, and maybe that's because you had realtors that got into it and it was kind of like part-time at the time and they weren't 100%, but I think it's a real booming business right now. You got a lot of development, and that's also the crutch out there, right? Because a lot of people move to Pahrump. They want space, land, and freedom. Leave me alone.
Where are you at now? 40,000 population?
Nye County is, we're 53,000? I'd say
I'm talking about Pahrump alone.
I'm coming to that, right? So I think when the snowbirds are back in town, I think we get a lot closer to 50,000 in Pahrump, right? Wow. Okay. Well, because they don't live there, right? Yeah. So that census number is it's like 45,000 in Pahrump. But I think when the snowbirds are in town, we definitely have an economic boost. You feel it. The parks, the RV parks specifically, they're full.
Wow, that's crazy because a couple of years ago I looked it up. It was only around 30,000.
In this last census, we were the largest growing town in the United States. 19% growth. Yeah. That's tremendous. Yeah. And that's the flip side, right? Because you get a lot of people that are going to be like, well, growth is bad. Growth is terrible. We don't want growth. No more building. We want a moratorium. And I see where they're coming from because it ties right into the water issue out there. But at the same time, you got a death rate, and we have a higher than average death rate. We have a
higher.
Why?
Is it older?
Senior citizens, yeah.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Our population's a lot older.
Okay.
Right? People go there to retire, and what happens after retirement?
Guess what?
Right. You're reborn.
Right. Exactly. Reborn. Yes.
In a different form.
Maybe, if you're so lucky. Right. Yeah, so that's just nature of the beast. So, but if you wanted to move out there and you wanted to build your home, who are we to say no? What I say earlier? Property rights. That's what this country's based on. Yeah. Do you? So I think the market's really good. I like the market out there.
A lot of land. If you want land, go to Pahrump, you guys.
Right.
Besides the restaurant that you have, Did you invest in anything else out there, so over the years, or wasn't your forte, or like something like with real estate or land? Like people always just talk about buying land.
Yeah.
And you purchased land.
Yeah, I have land there now.
I'm going to make a disclaimer now because people are going to see this like, wow, land is great out in Peru. You got to be very careful. Don't just
Depending
buy
on the
random
area.
land. Yeah, don't just buy random land. It doesn't work that way anymore. And that statement comes back from the preferred equities days. You used to get these phone calls. You're familiar with spam calls now.
Of course.
Well, back
Get
in the
them
day,
every day.
right? Well, back in the day, you used to have a guy call you and goes, "Well, hey, how you doing? I'm calling, and you're going to retire in like 30 years, and don't you want to buy a piece of property out in Pahrump, Nevada? They got the third largest aquifer, and it's 100 down, 100 a month, and you're going to own your exactly." So a lot of people, I don't want to say got swindled, but they were misinformed.
Yes.
We got a little bit of a water issue. And when I say a little bit, it needs to be addressed because we have more paper water rights than we do water. And that's just on the studies. Depending on which study, we have more water, and then it's not that big of an issue. But it's a challenge, so it's a
Okay.
balancing act.
So how do you feel that one out?
Hey, well, it's a balancing act, Well, if you have land there and you have a house and you live there, don't you come first? Or do those paper water rights come first? Or is the guy coming next building a house because he wants to sell it to you as a second? You see where I mean? It gets convoluted very quickly.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, you have to buy the water rights for sure, and dig
it
the
didn't
well.
have to be that way.
No, of course, that just
It wasn't
started.
like that years ago,
That just
right?
started 2-3 years ago.
Right. That
Yeah.
was in the not this past session, 2 sessions ago. That was a bill that passed.
That's like a big deal, though.
Yeah,
That's
well,
a lot of money.
Yeah,
It is.
10,000 an acre foot.
Yeah.
And then supposedly someone, again, I'm just hearing rumors of people saying that there's like 2 or 3 families that own all the water rights in Pahrump. What's the story with that?
Is that true? I didn't hear that.
You have 3 utilities that have the majority of the water rights, right? And then I would include people, the people, because if you own a property, you have theoretically
The
you have water.
grandfathered. Yeah.
Right, and that's a whole nother subject. So if you take them out, you have desert utilities, you have Hafen utilities, and Great Basin water. So
Oh.
at one point, they consolidated all the water,
Yeah.
right, for Great Basin water. They consolidated everything. They put it in a water bank,
Okay.
right? So they were utilities. So now they've banked all these water rights. And then you have desert utility. They're a lot smaller. Same scenario, but I mean tremendously smaller. And then you have Hafen, the family. They have a water utility company. But the problem with the paper water rights is back in the 50s, they were writing, they were like, hey, we need more water rights because they were growing agriculture out there, alfalfa, cotton, things of that nature. And the state was just like, okay, here you go. Here you go. They weren't based on anything. They were just paper.
The
pieces of
Havens are
paper.
part of the
Wasn't based on
politicians,
real
right?
water.
Right. Right. So it's just,
Haven's a politician name, right?
yeah,
Politician.
he is. Right. Yeah. The family.
It's like Andy Hafen.
Yes, I think he is related. I think he's a cousin.
Okay.
Right. So now, today, do 100 water rights times $10,000 is a lot of money. Starts adding up very quickly.
Yes.
Now do that times a couple of thousand or 17,000 paper water. I don't know. What's the number? I mean, it's a lot of number. It's a lot of money.
But you don't know for sure if there's enough water? I mean, underneath the
We
ground?
know we have a recharge rate, and you got 3 different studies. On the low end, they say 18,000. On the high end, they say 36,000 acre feet. And
Okay.
at the low end, we have a problem. We're over allocated, right? On paper, we have too much. Got too much out there,
Got
right?
it.
We can't sustain the growth. We can sustain right now for the recharge, and that's the challenge. That's where we have to figure it out. So when the allocation, so what you're talking about earlier, you go, well, you have to dedicate the water rights. That's why they're doing that, because they're trying to get rid of the paper water rights, trying to get them off the books, And the challenge is so, Dave owns a house and he's got his well. It's like, well, you're developing, because they curtailed, that's the bill I'm talking about from earlier. So they curtailed your water rights a couple of years ago. They said, if we go into critical management, and critical management will occur if we have a water problem, we're going to go from 2 acre feet, you're going to go down a half acre foot. So I wrote a letter and I said, wow, that's like taking your water, man.
Yeah.
The water's it's an asset, it's a property, it's a
Yeah.
value, it's something there. So that's unconstitutional. I disagree with this. You can't do that. There's no due process. But nobody listened. They voted how they voted, and that's the end of it. So that's, in a nutshell, they're paying for the development, the water development for those houses, those subdivisions, whatever they build, on the backs of the people, because they're going to curtail your water rights down to a half acre foot when you were given 2. And that's a problem. So water is a real complicated issue out there.
We have it here in, Las Vegas as well. We have the issues with our water right now.
What
We'll see what happens.
We have about like 2-3 minutes left.
Great.
I wanted to recap on I'm just curious. Again, you've been out here for a while. In regards to Lake Mead, you're familiar with the body in the barrel situation in Lake Mead?
Yeah, I go to the restaurant. I order Chateau Lake Mead
Chateau
by
Lake
name.
Mead? Is that on your menu?
Not on mine. We have Pahrum's finest out there.
What's your thoughts in regards to the body in the barrel? Since you're from Sicily too.
Well, look,
How many more bodies are
It
in Lake
happens.
Mead?
that 100-year guarantee was. They better get a refund. I'll leave it at that.
Because they never thought the water would go down.
Bingo.
So I'll share something with you. When I'm not sure if you know. So on this, well, you probably don't know this, but about a year ago, I did a reward for another diver finding another body in a barrel. It was a $5,000 reward, so it went all over the world.
Wow.
In regards to that, like a retired copy, some of his reward money. The water kept going basically down, 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 and we thought that basically other bodies were located, but they weren't in a barrel. Basically, the water went down, body parts would show up. So there was, I think, about 5 other body parts or bodies were showing up, but not in a barrel. When I contacted the park rangers, or park, whatever the hell, the federal, they said there's over 75 barrels that are located throughout Lake Mead, but they don't touch them because of archaeological, and they don't want to lift them and move them in general. So if they already found one body in the barrel, my question really comes down to how many other bodies are out there. I mean, like, you think that maybe, hey, let's go check the other barrels to see if there's bodies there.
If there's other barrels in there, then you can guarantee there's going to be
So since he's
bodies.
since he's technically a politician and his family's from Italy, I'm looking for a number that you would give an estimate of what your thoughts are, your opinion.
Oh, Sicily.
I think we find less than 5. How's that for an answer? Because I'll tell you this, out in Pahrump, we don't bury the bodies. We just leave them on the side of the road. So
So you say,
in this heat,
so that your guess would be less than 5
less than
bodies
5
in barrels in.
I think
Total?
less than 5, right?
total.
I don't know about total, but how many more do we find? Less than 5.
I think more.
Really?
Yes.
I think less than 5. I'll tell. I just share because to whack somebody back in the 70s. Now, granted, I'm only 39.
It was
right?
easier back then,
No,
for sure.
I don't know if it was easier per se. You really had to screw up, but that was top level sanction kind of situation. You didn't just get whacked for no reason. I mean, people had to.
Well, yeah.
All right.
They had reasons to whack all those people.
Yeah, we all got a reason, so that's not the issue, right?
Yeah,
so
and
we're
they
not
were
talking about
doing
that.
it, but they were doing it,
Of course they were, but again, it was a very severe action.
Yeah.
And that had to be sanctioned. You had to have somebody give the okay, the nod, the wink, the everything. Yeah,
From
that
the old
too.
town.
Right, that too.
From the old town.
I don't
Just
know.
saying.
There were a lot of rogue killings that happened as well. And one would take out the other side, and the other side there'd be like 5 or 10 of them that were taken out, and then vice versa. So, I truly think there's more than 5.
I will say this: Vegas was a lot safer back then. People slept with the doors unlocked, very much like how it is in Pahrump. It was a lot safer, I believe that. And now it's concerning. So we got to be on top of that.
One plug in regards to, as we finish up, I know that you have a restaurant. Tell us about the restaurant. We're going to have, I want to do an event out by you where we invite some Pahrump people from legal, medical world out there as well.
Oh, great.
Tell us about your restaurant. Do a little plug for your place.
So I own Carmelo's Bistro. We've been in business now 16 years, the best in Pahrump. Come on down. We're on 1440 East Highway 372, 775-751-1660. I got an old 775-751 number because I'm old school in Pahrump,
Is it the main road going into Pahrump, or is it the one that you go left at that casino? I forgot what it is.
The Pahrump Nugget. So you got Highway 160. You go Blue Diamond, which is Highway 160, all the way over, past the first street light, which is Homestead. Take a left at the next street light, which is 372. We only got 3. It's not that hard. If you hit the third one, you went too far. Take a left on 372. You got the old V of A Bank building, right? You got that KFC. And then the next shopping center, you got me.
Okay.
Boom.
I know where you're at now.
It's a little hole in the wall.
Okay.
So when you walk in, it's going to feel just like you're back east, back in New York, back in Jersey.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I wish I would have
nice.
known you were there before. Then I would have come.
Well,
by there
we know
before.
now. We're going to make it. We'll make it down there.
Awesome.
Superfan Steve said it's the best because there's nothing else out there. Are there any other?
You got a couple of people
They
out
have
there,
other
actually.
stuff. What
Yeah.
would be a good thing is a badass barbecue spot because it's kind of like country. Pahrump is like country, so it'd be nice to do like a awesome barbecue.
Yeah, we
Kinda
have
like
we have
Texas.
a food truck, Pizza Meats and Treats. He does a great barbecue out there.
Yeah?
We got like Mom's Diner, the
been
Chumley
there.
family.
I've been to
Yeah,
them.
they're great. They come in all the time over at my place.
Okay.
There are some other Italian places in town, and God bless them.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
That's good.
we're
definitely
the
have to go out
best.
there
I've been there
and
16 years. Forget about it.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Forget
What else
about it.
What else do you want to add in regards to Pahrump? What did I miss as we wrap up here?
It's a great little town, I love it out there. Okay, I've been there 16 years. That's home. So You want to go to a nice place, freedom loving, kind of live and let live. That's your place,
Got it. So
That's a real estate plug for you.
Yeah.
So we'll have to we'll support you in that regards, and I appreciate you coming, to the studio here to basically kind of share your story. It's kind of an interesting one, especially 4 years, in politics and Pahrump, and I really don't know that many people in Pahrump besides you when you were going out there to work, but I appreciate if you could help Gentil.
Yes, help me.
Maybe place her, in a better location.
Oh yeah, better location, please. Yeah, because
Yeah, sure.
it's so bad.
He can make some phone calls for you. Oh, last thing I'll share with you, then we'll wrap up. The guy that, what's his name again? The guy that was running
that guy.
yeah,
the
Right.
guy that was running the brothels that passed away, that was on the ballot that won.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
The-
Dennis Hoff.
Dennis Hoff.
Right.
He was actually on a little bit of a sizzle reel with me a few years back. It was called The Esquires. I have to send you the video.
Okay.
Really nice guy. He was walking a little unstable at the time. I think he had like a guy that was like his assistant. You probably know the guy that he was walking with,
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy that he actually passed away and that he actually still won. Would you
Oh,
agree?
that's right.
Dennis Hoff, that he
He
won.
was going to win no matter what.
He was going
Yeah.
to win.
Absolutely. It was guaranteed he won because they wanted to make the appointment thereafter. So they were going to keep the seat Republican. Right. But that would have been a spicy race.
That was commissioner, right?
No. He ran for the assembly.
Oh, the Assembly. that's
Right.
Okay.
I'll tell you the story why he ran for the assembly.
Right.
I'll tell you this. You want it now?
Yeah, go
Sure.
for it.
All right.
Is
so
it long?
No, well,
Okay,
We
sure.
got about 2 minutes and then we'll go
Okay.
into
All
overtime.
right. Well, so you have
Very
a county
expensive.
commissioner, Lance Gilman, right?
Okay.
So Lance is a county commissioner, and Dennis and Lance, they're both in the brothel business, and they like to be competitive. I'll leave it at that. It's spicy. It gets spicy between the two. Friendly but competitive. Well, he's a county commissioner, so Dennis had to one up him. So he ran for the assembly, and then he won.
Oh.
Right, posthumously, but he was going to win no matter what.
I see.
He did a good campaign, and he definitely
And he's
showed.
known. He's known.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the HBO show, the
Yes.
bunny. He had the Bunny Ranch stuff, all
Yeah.
that stuff. Come on, it's like Trump, very Trump,
Yes.
right? Very much Trump.
Absolutely.
Nobody thought Trump had a shot in 16. Well, dude, he's been on the TV since the 80s. What are you talking about? Everybody knows Trump. Household name. Forget about it. Jeb Bush. No, dude, no, get out of here. Bush started out, how many wars? How many wars did Bush start? And then Obama continued. That's what those guys like doing, getting in war. No more. Trump
Right.
was a household name. Forget
Last
about it.
question. Will Trump go to jail?
No.
No.
He's not going to go to jail.
No,
Will
absolutely
he,
not.
Will he be
Just-
reelected?
They're trying. They're throwing everything, the kitchen sink at that guy.
Will he be reelected?
God willing.
think?
I hope so. I'm there with them.
Interesting.
You don't
I think he
so?
has. I think he has
don't
a
know.
good shot.
It's just crazy what's going on. Like every
Honestly.
day, I think they're trying to, indict him now for the Tupac Shakur killing. I mean, they're trying to, every day they're basically trying to get him for something.
Really?
It's kind of a joke that's going on right
Oh,
now because
God.
basically trying to indict
Yeah.
him for everything,
They're throwing everything. Exactly.
So, I mean, it's just kind of a crazy time. I don't know.
Trump got us out of that conflict in Afghanistan. I mean, he saved lives. 18 months, he saved lives in Afghanistan. American soldiers. No American soldier died in Afghanistan for 18 months while he was president. He made a deal with those guys. Said, hey, listen, knock it off. Get your shit straight.
Yeah.
18 months, no American lives lost. I mean, that's huge. I don't hear anybody else talking about that. You only hear the negative.
Absolutely.
No, it's definitely an interesting time. I mean, who knows? We're going to be 6 months, a year from now. Definitely like to have you come back on the show again in the future. And then
I love your setup here. It's really clean. I like this.
John T actually set this all up for
Yes,
us.
that's me.
She's
You
very
know, I'm a maid too.
She's home on TV or just at home? She's very housebroken.
I'm everything: hooker, housemaid. I mean,
Realtor.
realtor.
was a
Whatever you
PG
want,
show.
honey.
It's Vegas. It's the American dream. Anyway, Leo, thanks so much for coming on the show today. As Gentil, as usual, thanks for
May I
co-hosting.
say something? I wanted to
you
say
cannot say
one
anything. I'm sorry, we
closing
have to-
statement.
Go
about
for your closing statement.
Okay, I just want to say, to everyone out there, we have so much abundance in this universe for all of us, for everyone, for every 7 billion people, right? 7 billion we have here
In the world.
in the world. We have so much abundance for everyone to do so well and to have everything that they need and they require. There is no need for competition, and people are fighting and stealing and lying and, just to get one over each other. And I just think we're so tiny in this little tiny planet within this vast universe. And I'm telling you, we have abundance, everyone. So please stop, lying, cheating, and stealing with each other and killing each other on this planet.
I feel like she should run for politics. I mean, she sounds like a Knight County,
No,
commissioner.
it's not about
Like,
that.
I'm
It's
here
just-
to help the people in the community in
No,
Knight
it's not.
County.
No, it's not about that. It's just I'm seeing so much demonic, things
We should
happening
be spreading more love,
in
I
this
agree.
world. Yes.
That's it. We're going to end with that. Spread the love and have a little grace.
Spread the love from
Yeah.
Gentil. As usual, I'm Dave Coleman, the problem solver, retired police officer, helping people, talking about some interesting topics in general. Hopefully, learn some different things, solve some problems. I will say that one of the problems that we see today is even calling 211. I pressed the button for us to call back. They didn't call back, so that's a problem. So we definitely need to make a complaint with there in general. But well, there we go. So long story short, you can go to theproblemsolver.vegas if you have a problem. You can fill out the information, or you can call 702-999-1111, just like the police is 911, but the problem solver is 999-1111, 702. And if I can help whatsoever, any problems, we have a lot of different network of referral of different people, whatever we can help you with, we'd love to do that. So again, Leo, thanks so much for joining.
My pleasure.
John T, we'll see you next week. Otherwise, be safe, be careful, everybody out there, and stay well. See you next week.